Welcome to Monday. It's President's Day, February 20th, 2023. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Check them out at cowboystatedaily.com. And also being brought to you by WYDOT. There's going to be lots of road problems. Call 511 or go to wyoroad.info for the latest road closure information. Well, the bad weather remains on track. There's nothing new to report in terms of any changes. The last couple of videos in terms of timing, where and when, basically is about the same. So harsh winter weather conditions are coming. We're at a point right now where it's going to be hard to turn this around. High winds are likely again today in the wind-prone areas. Through Tuesday, Interstate 80 is being plagued by blowing snow and extremely strong winds along the stretch between Laramie and Rawlins, and that's going to be a problem, well, indefinitely. Probably at least for the next 5 or 7 days. I-25 will be hit by very high winds as well. Snow in the mountains as winds aloft pushing moisture into the high country is going to produce occasional mountain snow in the northern and central Rockies today and into tomorrow. We're going to have snow showers today, tonight and into Tuesday across Montana and the northern and counties of Wyoming, mountains of northern Wyoming as well, and possibly into the Black Hills of northeastern Wyoming and western South Dakota. So really the story today and the story Tuesday is high winds, mountain snow showers, some snow showers in the plains, blowing snow along the higher elevation areas of Colorado and Wyoming. Then Arctic air plunges south into Montana tomorrow and northern Wyoming. We're going to see the Arctic air go into those areas during the day tomorrow. Around or after sundown, the Arctic surge goes through the rest of Wyoming, western Nebraska, then it's going to go into the front range of Colorado and into western Kansas as we get into the day, mainly Wednesday, then into Thursday morning. The overrunning snow event is on track to hit those states the hardest, but everybody's going to get into the act. The entire state of Wyoming will be impacted, and Montana, and almost all of South Dakota, a large part of North Dakota, and a large part of northern and western Nebraska as well. Far northeastern Colorado will get into the overrunning. For areas along and south of I-70, you're going to get the cold, but you're going to miss the snow. Bitter, bitter cold temperatures are coming, well below zero temperatures that are going to be found Wednesday night and into the day Thursday, making for dangerous livestock. Travel conditions are going to be, travel is going to be a mess. There's just no way around it. Because we've got these bitter cold temperatures, we've got the wind. It's going to be first a wet snow, then a lighter snow that'll be easily transported by the winds in that Arctic air. And then as we talked, we're going to have another period of travel problems as the Arctic air retreats late Friday and into next weekend. Today's satellite photo kind of doesn't look like a lot, but I noticed that I focused the center of the satellite photo here over the Pacific Ocean. We always talk about when we get a big high pressure ridge in the eastern Pacific, that is a cold signal for the western United States. And you can see the arch of clouds going around the big high, then starting to carve out the trough here in the west. Doesn't look like much, but you see this area right here, this area of energy, upper level low pressure system right there is caught up in the flow, and as it heads south and east, when you take a low pressure system and you take it from a higher latitude to a lower latitude, it's going to intensify. And so the stage is set. We can see it on the satellite imagery that things out in the Pacific are coming together. And there it is. You can see the upper level low cloudiness that I showed you right there. This is for 5 o'clock this afternoon. Strong northwest winds aloft make the winds blow and bring snow to the mountains. There's the big high in the eastern Pacific. So the stage is set for this system to amplify and come south. Before it does, though, these are the wind gusts forecasted for today. So it's windy really everywhere. Now, you're going to get some wind shading in some areas, but basically the wind-prone areas, the higher elevations, is where you're going to get the high winds today. And really, from New Mexico to Montana, across the Dakotas, you're going to have some high winds today and into tomorrow. This is by 11 a.m. Wednesday. The Arctic plunge is coming in full force, and that Arctic air is being overrun by moisture and warmer air aloft coming in from the southwest. So that collision produces this overrunning heavier snow event that's going to be happening right here. And I want to show you what the temperatures are going to do. So this is an animated graphic starting today, and this goes through Thursday morning. So you can see that first the Arctic air surges south, kind of stops, gets held up a bit, then it gets a bigger push south as that pattern, winds aloft, kind of battle. There's a battle between those winds aloft, between the Arctic air coming in from the north and the winds aloft coming up in from the south. And where the tug of war is, the standoff, so to speak, is where that overrunning, that Arctic air and the Pacific air colliding to produce that heavier snow. So you can see the cold air just kind of oozing its way south, then settling on in. Now the good news is we think this Arctic air mass is not going to stick around for days and days. It'll be rather transient, but that's the problem, because that means the winds will blow later afterwards. Now let's take a look at what the precipitation forecast is going to do over that same time period. And then you can see the enhanced area of overrunning taking place right here. But we also get some pretty good moisture back here into the mountains of Utah, southwestern areas of Wyoming. But where the collision is the most intense is where the heaviest moisture is going to be as it comes on through. Let's take a look now at what the snow does over that same time. Looks a lot like the graphic we showed you over the weekend. Basically, really no deviation from where we were before with that. You can see the northern and central high plains, Montana, Wyoming, far northern Colorado, parts of Nebraska, going to really see the heaviest snow going into the upper Midwest there, but also heavy mountain snow along and west of the divide as well. The Wasatch Front of Utah getting in the snow, the western slope of Colorado and the mountains of Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, the entire western United States. And then look, if you see at the end of this graphic here, you can see the snow in the mountains of central and southern California, the coastal mountains there still look like they could get some snowfall. Another thing I want to highlight, I really think we've got a big problem with roads and highways really everywhere, but the Interstate 80 corridor is just going to be picked on like it normally is in the winter. But boy, this winter it's just been brutal. See these strong winds? What I'm showing you are the wind gusts for Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. I want to show you Sweetwater, Uinta County here, western areas of Carbon County. As the Arctic front is pushed through the Continental Divide between South Pass and the Rattlesnake Mountains and the Shirley Mountains and the Ferris Mountains here in central Wyoming, what happens is you get a really strong northeast wind that blows in through that gap. The Arctic air gets pushed through that gap and you have this period of high winds. This is going to coincide with snowfall at the same time. So we are going to see significant snows along the entire stretch of I-80 with a lot of wind and Arctic cold. That's a recipe for just tons of problems. The Interstate 90, I-25, all secondary roads and highways going to be impacted as well. Now this is by noon Thursday, 11 a.m. Thursday. The low that causes the overrunning heads into the upper Midwest, and we see this westerly flow developing. This is going to help transport the Arctic air rather quickly out of the area, but the winds are going to blow. This is for Saturday morning. As that low goes away, we have this little guy swinging on through. It doesn't look like much, but it's going to drag a front through, and it's going to cause those strong and gusty winds to be developing again, causing blowing snow, probably between Friday through Sunday. How long will this stormy pattern last? Well, it's going to stick with us. This is for the first weekend of March, just kind of a preview of what we're looking at further down the road. So there's this storm system we're going to have to contend with, and March is going to be throwing us some curveballs as well. We'll update you tomorrow. Have a good Monday.